Wish I'd managed to snag the kit when it first released, but hey, I got the review up before the second half. Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the aerial from Mercury. Alright, and starting off as always with the articulation. The head is on... It's kind of unwieldy to grab this because of the bunny ears, but it's on a ball joint up here. And there's a backwards facing ball joint at the base of the neck, so pretty good up. The head likes to come off, apparently, while I'm reviewing. It didn't come off once while I was posing it before this, but as soon as you hit record, pretty good to either side too, considering just how much bulk is in there and also how tight that bottom ball joint is. The shoulders are on a forward hinge, which is also a ball joint, so you get a little bit of wiggle in there. Then there's a ball joint in the actual shoulder itself, so you can bring the arm pretty much across the chest. The shoulder armor is on a separate hinge from the actual arm, meaning you can't actually take this off and have a full shoulder in there, which is nice. You can get easily out 90 degrees without any trouble at all. There's a bicep rotation, single jointed elbow, but it gets more than enough. And the hands, as always, are on a ball joint. There's a forward facing ball joint in the waist, so you get a little bit of side to side movement, as well as a little bit of wiggle there. There's also a swivel at the waist. Just a peg, not another ball joint, which, I mean, fair enough. Not crazy articulation there, but it gets the job done. Front skirts are ball jointed. They are connected, but you can separate them. There's a little stopping thing there to stop them from going in too far too, which I think is a very nice little touch. Side skirts are there. They don't really do much. I mean, I guess this side skirt can get out of the way. Back skirt is on a swivel peg, as well as these separate pieces are also on swivel pegs. The full mechanics has a hinge there to let that go into flight mode, but it's not a huge deal. The hips themselves are just universal joints, though you can still get a really high kick out of them. And I mean, this kind of bumps into it, but you can get over 45 degrees ish. And not a ton of rotation there, but it's good enough. There is a double jointed knee. Back skirt gets in the way a little bit, but you can get a full knee bend there for a kneeling pose. This armor is supposed to shift down to cover the joint, but it doesn't. Again, I'm pretty sure the full mechanics does do that, but it's not a huge deal either way. There is a crazy front to back rock. I overdid it a little bit. Joint in the ankle. The ankle guard is on a ball joint, which means it doesn't really do much. The back of the foot is independently pegged on. The front of the foot is on a ball joint, so it can pivot side to side and also hinge up a little bit for the toe. However, unfortunately, there's no ankle swivel. So overall, I'd say I don't really have any big problems with the articulation. It does pretty much everything it needs to. You can get it into tons of great poses. Do kind of wish that the waist had a little bit more, like there's a few places where it could get like a couple more degrees, but it's nothing that ruins the kit. Now getting into accessories, let's start off with the sticker sheet and by extension color correction. I've used a couple of the stickers here, but honestly half of them are duplicates just for powered up or not, but yeah, I did the color correction on those parts, and also that is the sensor for the beam rifle, which I also just painted. But yeah, this blue would be here on the arm shield, and the white ones go onto this piece because it's just all blue. That was kind of a nightmare to paint, to be honest, and it still doesn't look perfect, but it comes up fine on camera, so whatever. It's on the back anyway. Aside from that, stand, you get eyes both in green and red. The red ones haven't shown up in the show, and she's already been rebuilt, so who knows what that was supposed to be. You have the rear camera in the same colors. These are the chest Vulcans, or I'm assuming they're Vulcans, they look like Vulcans. Apparently they're supposed to be red when permit score is activated, but I checked, and it's not consistent if it is. Aside from that, this is the one for the little head thing there. That's actually a little bit more annoying to put on than I thought, but the part underneath is red, so, I mean, you could just paint it either way. These ones are the stickers that go underneath the clear parts here in the thigh. I obviously went with the activated ones, so the ones that aren't used are the unactivated. Though these are for the chest, but they do give you the pre-painted chest, so I just went with that. And these ones down here in the left corner are for the shoulder, which I painted, because not only are these the worst stickers I've ever seen, I mean, you can see the cutouts there. Yeah, they separated it into the top and sides as separate stickers. But aside from that, these lines aren't even show accurate. They're supposed to be a black edge along the edge, so I just painted it myself to actually make it show accurate, and it honestly looks better anyway. Now, aside from what those stickers cover, there's a lot of little areas of gray this thing needs. I will give them credit, the head is completely color separated, that's really impressive. Including the black around the eyes, which is molded in the same gray as the head Vulcans, but I did just paint that black to be completely accurate, but hey, it's gray either way. You need to do black in these shoulder vents. Thankfully the backpack is actually fully separated. Oh yeah, there's another sticker here for the permit. These are actually colored, all the yellow is color separated, which is really nice. Like I was saying, the white on these pieces need paint, but the gray that you can kind of see on that white piece inside, the whole ass is all white plastic. You need to paint that gray stripe there, which you'll notice is right next to gray plastic, so they could have easily just made that a separate piece anyway, but, or rather part of the molded pieces, but not a huge deal, I guess. I would recommend painting the black in behind these clear pieces on the chest, vent, grill. I also painted some metallic red just in those spots because this is supposed to carry down into it. You can barely even tell, but it is there. Yeah, you do need to paint gray on the inside of this piece too, I forgot about that. And finally, there's a lot of color missing on the feet if you don't paint. Aside from this little square here of white needing to... Why? This could have easily just been a solid piece there and not have to paint that. It's a very weird choice to do that. The gray is more understandable. This area of gray that needs paint is understandable considering that would have had to be an extra little piece in there, but this is big enough that could have been a separate piece. All of this gray. Which is also, this area here is part of the red plastic, and this is all part of the white plastic, so you have to paint two separate parts there, which, not a big deal, easy enough to paint, but seems really unnecessary. Oh, and finally, you gotta paint the gray on the underside of these side skirt pieces, because those vents are supposed to be gray. Oh, and also the sort of hinge pieces here that attach the shoulder armor on are supposed to be gray too. So those little semicircles need to be painted, and I also had to top coat them because that's a C-clip. Well, not quite a C, it's like a hollow C-clip. So, kind of worried that's going to scratch the paint off at some point. So that's fun. Now that sounds like a lot of painting. Really wasn't that bad though. It's pretty much all inlaid stuff that's easy to paint without, you know, messing up straight lines, and it's mostly just gray anyway. Though I will say, the paint that I mixed, I probably should have added a little bit of yellow to it, because the gray they're using on the aerial is slightly warmer than usual. And I didn't realize that until I got it underneath my stage lights and could actually see it really bright. The paint's a little bit more of a blue-gray than it should be, but it's close enough that I'm not going to repaint it. Now, anyway, let's talk about the accessories. Starting off with the hands. For some reason, they only included closed fists. Yeah, keep the price down, but come on, guys. These are unique hands. You can't just swap them out for something else. And I'm not sure they've even made just open hands for this, because she has nails. Maybe you could just use the ones that come with the Spinatio and 30-minute missions and just sort of not look at it too close, or maybe file it down to look a bit better, but yeah, it's not the best solution there, and there's really no other way to, you know, give open hands. Does it really cost that much more, Bandai, to add 2 more pieces to the runner? Like, even if you have to swap the back caps, I'm fine with that. Just at least give us the open hand. Anyway, in that hand, you can hold beam rifle, the really weirdly shaped beam rifle that doesn't actually have an emitter on the end, but we won't worry about that. Like I said, I painted the scope, sensor, whatever you want to call it, on the front there, and it's so close. This is the exact same color as the sticker, by the way. This isn't like I accidentally made it too dark. No, it is genuinely like half a shade lighter. Why did they even bother at that point? Anyway, this does have a full grip, so you have to pop the back cap off the hand, stick it on. It holds it completely solidly. I don't really need to show that off, do I? You get this little connector so you can store it on the back if you want in that open peg. Right there. Just pops into the slots on the sides of the rifle. And aside from that, you get a couple of beam effects. You do get 2 of these. I just didn't bother cutting them both off. They're a new kind of age-style flat beam, which is nice. The wrong color, but you can get green ones now, so if you're getting more of the Jewish kits, you can just swap them out. They're the same mold, I'm pretty sure. But you do get this beam bayonet, which is a really beautiful piece, and it's never used in the show. Just slide it on here, and it looks really good. Why was this not used in the show? I don't remember it being used in the show anyway. I'm pretty sure she only ever used the beam sabers, which are, you know, on the back. And you do get this strange gray piece. Wonder what that's for. Yeah, it's no point of being coy. You know that the aerial has bits. Pull them all off of the suit. The back skirt, those extra side skirts, the ones on the shoulder and the ones on the forearm. Pull them apart, slap them on that gray piece, and you can form the shield, which it's actually kind of annoying to get apart again. And I'm kind of worried about scratching the paint on those parts, so I'm not going to be doing it, but I've done it once. It's fine. It sticks off the arm a little bit more than it probably should because of this piece, but it's serviceable. Honestly, I just think Ariel looks way cooler with the parts on the actual suit instead of the shield anyway. If I can get that display stand that they made for the bits, I will probably display it with them deployed at least, but otherwise they're staying on. Though I will show that you can pull off these gray bits on the literal bits and figurative bits on the back skirt, and they slide on to the rifle. Oop, get in there. I mean, they're not falling off or anything, but I do kind of feel like these could probably be a little bit tighter. Anyway, you just slot them in, and you get a long rifle for long range attack. And again, I'm pretty sure this was never used in the show. It's a lot of wasted potential, let's say. Though honestly, my only real complaint with Ariel is that the bits don't have any actual, you know, propulsion or beam cannons on them anywhere. Because they're supposed to. And they just forgot to design it to have that, I guess. Because, I mean, how do these parts fly around or shoot stuff? There's no emitters or anything on them. And finally, there are a couple of leftover parts. If you use the printed chest, you do get completely clear ones. If you just want to use the stickers underneath, if you want to have it deactivated, you do get the option to do that. And as for a quick size comparison, Ariel is completely average size for a Gundam, pretty much identical in height to the RX-78, though to be fair, much chunkier. So, to wrap this review up, Ariel is a pretty great kit. even without the color correction, it looks pretty good, and with it, it looks great. There's a few minor things I don't like about it, like the shoulder stickers being really, really bad, but I don't really have any other complaints. The C-clip joints are not a problem for me, they're completely tight, and with the otherwise pretty amazing color correction, especially with the printed parts on the chest, this looks really good. I've heard some rumors that the 30-minute missions team might have been working on these kits, and I honestly believe it, considering some of the, frankly, impressive engineering that went into this thing. If you can find one of these, definitely pick it up. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell to be alerted for future reviews. Come chill in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, if that's even still around. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And, as always, until next time, happy building.